Our stories are not real and made for entertainment purpose only. Subscribe to my channel for more stories. Now let's begin this one. My cousin took my startup idea at the investor pitch, then I showed emails that sunk him. I trusted my cousin with my startup dream until he stole it and pitched it as his own, forcing me to fight back with the truth. The conference room buzzed with anticipation, a sea of tailored suits and polished shoes shifting restlessly under the fluorescent lights. I stood at the back, my palms sweaty, my pitch deck clutched in a manila folder. This was the moment I'd been working toward for 2 years, a pitch to a panel of venture capitalists at the annual Tech Innovators Summit. My startup idea, ConnectSphere, was a platform that used AI to bridge small businesses with local freelancers, streamlining hiring with unmatched precision. I'd poured everything into its savings, sleepless nights, endless code revisions. But as the MC introduced the next presenter, my cousin Ethan stepped onto the stage, flashing his megawatt smile. "I'm thrilled to share my vision for ConnectSphere," he began, clicking through slides that mirrored my own. My heart stopped. He was stealing my idea right in front of me. Ethan and I had grown up like brothers, raised in the same sprawling family compound where our parents shared Sunday dinners and holiday chaos. He was the charismatic one, always the center of attention, while I was the quiet tinkerer, building apps in my bedroom while he charmed our relatives with stories. But beneath his charm was a pattern. Ethan had a habit of borrowing my ideas. In high school, he'd taken credit for my robotics project at the science fair, claiming he'd inspired it. In college, he pitched my app concept to a professor, passing it off as his own. Each time, I let it slide, telling myself family wasn't worth fighting over. But this was different. ConnectSphere was my future, my shot at breaking free from a dead-end job and proving I could build something real. And now Ethan was hijacking it, word for word, slide for slide, in front of the investors, who could make it happen. The room was rapt as Ethan spoke, his voice smooth and confident. He described the AI algorithms, the user interface, the market analysis, every detail I'd painstakingly crafted over months in my cramped apartment. The investors leaned forward, scribbling notes, nodding at his buzzwords: disruptive, scalable, game changer. My vision, my words, coming out of his mouth. I felt like I was drowning, my chest tight, my folder trembling in my hands. I could have stormed the stage, shouted that he was a fraud, but I knew how it would look. A desperate outburst, unprofessional, unhinged. These investors didn't know me. They'd see Ethan's polish and assume I was the liar. I needed proof, something ironclad. My mind raced to the emails, a lifeline buried in my inbox. I'd shared early drafts of ConnectSphere with Ethan months ago, back when I still trusted him, back when family meant loyalty. I'd asked for his feedback as a business guy, hoping he'd help refine the pitch that was my heart's work. Those emails held everything: my initial concept, rough wireframes sketched late at night, even snippets of code I'd painstakingly written. They were time-stamped, sent from my account, addressed to him, undeniable proof of my ownership. If I could show them to the right person, Ethan's stolen story would collapse under its own weight. My phone was in my pocket, its email app ready to pull up the thread in seconds. But who could I trust in this room? The investors were captivated, hanging on Ethan's every polished word, their pens poised over checkbooks. The MC was distracted, flipping through his schedule, oblivious to the theft unfolding. I needed an ally, someone with enough clout to shift the narrative, someone who'd see through Ethan's charm. My eyes scanned the crowd, landing on Dr. Patel, the venture capitalist known for her sharp instincts. Could she be the one to hear my truth? Time was slipping, and I had to act fast. I scanned the room and spotted Dr. Leela Patel, a venture capitalist renowned for her no-nonsense approach and a keen eye for spotting talent. She sat in the front row, her arms crossed, her expression unreadable behind sharp, wire-rimmed glasses. I'd read about her in TechCrunch. She'd funded underdogs before, startups others dismissed as too risky, turning them into industry darlings. More importantly, she'd visited my booth at a smaller pitch event 6 months ago in Seattle, where I'd demoed an early, clunky version of ConnectSphere. She'd grilled me on my model's scalability, nodded at my answers, and left her card with a brisk, "Keep me posted." If anyone in this room would give me a chance to prove my truth, it was her. My heart pounded as I clutched my phone, the emails ready to load. "Doctor, Patel's presence felt like a lifeline, but I'd need to move fast to catch her attention. Her reputation for fairness was my hope, but her piercing gaze told me I'd have to earn her trust. I took a deep breath, steeling myself to interrupt Ethan's stolen spotlight. I slipped along the wall, keeping low to avoid drawing attention, and crouched beside her seat. "Dr. Patel," I whispered, "I need 2 minutes. This is my startup he's pitching." Her eyes flicked to me, then back to Ethan, her brow furrowing. "Prove it," she said, her voice barely audible. I pulled out my phone, opened my email app, and searched for Ethan's name. The thread was there, a digital paper trail stretching back 8 months. I opened the first email, sent in February, with the PDF of my concept deck attached. The subject line read, "Connexphere idea, feedback." The body was me, raw and earnest, explaining my vision to Ethan. I tilted the screen toward Dr. Patel. She scanned it, her lips tightening, then nodded. "Stay here," she said, standing. Ethan was wrapping up his pitch, fielding soft questions from the panel about revenue projections and user acquisition. The investors were eating it up, one even joking about writing a check on the spot. But Dr. Patel raised her hand, her voice cutting through the room like a blade. "Mr. Carter, that was an impressive presentation. Can you clarify when you began developing Connexphere? I recall seeing a similar concept from another founder earlier this year." The room went quiet. Ethan's smile froze, just for a split second, but I saw it. He recovered quickly, chuckling. "I've been working on this for over a year. It's been a labor of love, Dr. Patel didn't blink. "Interesting. I'd like to hear from another perspective." She turned toward me, gesturing for me to stand. Every eye in the room followed, their weight pressing against me like a spotlight. My legs felt like jelly, but I forced myself upright, clutching my phone, its screen glowing with the evidence I needed. "I'm Ryan Carter," I said, my voice shaky but growing steadier with each word. "Connexphere is my startup. I created it, designed it, coded it. For 2 years, I built it from scratch, sketching wireframes on napkins, debugging code until dawn. I trusted Ethan, my cousin, with early drafts, seeking his feedback because I believe family meant support. Those emails time-stamped, detailed, sent from my account hold my original concepts, my algorithms, my vision. I shared them in good faith, asking for advice, not permission to steal. He's standing there, presenting my idea, my sweat, as his own. The room erupted in murmurs. Ethan laughed, a nervous edge to it. "Ryan, come on, we collaborated on this. You're blowing this out of proportion," but Dr. Patel wasn't having it. "Let's see the evidence," she said, her tone flat. I stepped forward, holding up my phone, the email thread projected onto the screen behind me via the room's AV system. I scrolled through the messages, each one a nail in Ethan's coffin. February, my concept deck. March, wireframes I'd sketched in Figma. April, a video of my prototype, narrated by me. All sent to Ethan, all time-stamped, all unanswered by him until a vague "looks cool" in May. The investors leaned in, their expressions shifting from curiosity to skepticism. One, a gray-haired man in a pinstripe suit, asked to see the emails up close. I handed him my phone, its screen bright with the thread that held my truth. He scrolled through, his frown deepening as he studied the timestamps and detailed attachments, my wireframes, my code snippets, my vision laid bare. "These are detailed," he said, his voice carrying weight, passing the phone to his colleague, a woman with sharp eyes who nodded slowly. "And they predate your claim timeline, Mr. Carter," she added, her tone cutting through Ethan's faltering defense. Ethan stammered, "Those are early drafts. We worked together, like I said," but the room wasn't buying it, murmurs rippling through the crowd. Dr. Patel pressed further, her voice calm but unyielding. "Mr. Carter, can you show us any documentation of your contributions? Code commits, design files, anything." Ethan's face went pale. He fumbled with his laptop, muttering about shared drives and lost files. The investors exchanged glances, their patience thinning. I seized the moment, pulling out my laptop from my bag. "I have the full repo here," I said, connecting it to the projector. I opened my GitHub, showing the Connexphere repository, hundreds of commits, all by me, stretching back to January of last year. I clicked through folders, AI models, front-end code, database schemas, all mine, all documented. The crowd murmured, some nodding, others whispering to their neighbors. Dr. Patel turned to the panel. I move we hear Ryan's pitch. The evidence suggests he's the true founder. The gray-haired investor nodded, and the others followed. Ethan tried to protest, but the MC cut him off, ushering him off stage. I took his place, my heart pounding, my pitch deck shaking in my hands. I started slowly, explaining ConnectSphere's mission, empowering small businesses, creating opportunities for freelancers, using AI to make hiring human again. The words flowed, my passion carrying me through. By the end, the investors were asking questions, not softballs, but real ones, about scalability, ethics, and tech. I answered every one, drawing on 2 years of obsession with this project. When I finished my presentation, the room erupted in applause, not the polite, perfunctory kind, but a roar that felt like vindication, a tidal wave of validation washing over me. The summit's attendees, tech founders, investors, and industry leaders rose to their feet, their faces alight with respect. Dr. Patel, a venture capitalist with a reputation for spotting unicorns, approached me afterward, her business card pressed into my hand. Send me your deck tonight, Maya, she said, her eyes sharp with intent. We'll talk terms. 2 other investors, one from a Seattle fund and another from a Bay Area incubator, followed, requesting meetings and peppering me with questions about ConnectSphere's scalability. Ethan was nowhere to be seen, his laptop abandoned on a chair, its screen dark. I later heard he'd slipped out of the summit early, muttering about a family emergency to anyone who asked. My phone buzzed relentlessly with texts from relatives, some outraged, accusing me of airing dirty laundry, others apologetic, pleading Ethan's case. I ignored them all, silencing the notifications. This wasn't about family anymore. This was about my work, my truth, my dream fought for and won. In the weeks that followed, ConnectSphere soared. Dr. Patel's firm led a seed round, valuing my startup at $5 million, their investment fueling a whirlwind of growth. I hired a small but fierce team, 3 developers, a marketing lead, and a UX designer, all believers in the vision of a platform that connected communities through shared ideas. We moved into a real office, a sunlit loft in Portland's Pearl District, with whiteboards scrawled in marker and a coffee machine that never stopped humming. Our beta launch drew 10,000 sign-ups in a month, users flocking to test our app's promise of authentic collaboration. Local blogs buzzed with praise, calling ConnectSphere the future of grassroots innovation. A tech podcast invited me for an interview, and I spoke not just of code but of conviction, of building something no one could steal. Ethan tried to reach out once, a half-hearted apology email that landed in my inbox like an afterthought, its words hollow. I messed up, Maya. Can we talk? I didn't bother answering, deleting it with a swipe. The emails I'd shown at the summit, timestamped, irrefutable, weren't just proof of his theft. They were my armor, a shield against anyone who dared take what was mine again. I framed a screenshot of that first February email, the one where Ethan had casually claimed my idea as his own, and hung it on my office wall. It wasn't just a memento, it was a reminder: always document, always protect, always fight for what's yours. Below it, I pinned a printout of ConnectSphere's first user review, a glowing note from a teacher using our platform to connect rural schools. Every glance at that frame steeled me. In board meetings, as I pitched to new investors, or late nights debugging with my team, I felt the weight of that lesson. Ideas are currency in this world, fragile yet powerful, and I wasn't letting anyone steal mine again. My team grew to 10, our beta expanded to 50,000 users, and a second funding round loomed, with Dr. Patel pushing for a $20 million valuation. Greenhaven's community, once a backdrop to my struggle, now rallied behind me, their pride a quiet fuel. As I stood in my office, watching Portland's skyline glow under a dusk sky, I knew this was only the beginning. ConnectSphere wasn't just a startup, it was my legacy, built on truth, not theft, and no one could take that away.